Your dog just licked your face, your cheek, your mouth, maybe right after you laughed and your guard was completely down. And you smiled and let it happen, the way you always do, because it felt like love. And it is love. But there is something happening in that moment that your vet knows and almost never says out loud. Not to alarm you, just to make sure you actually understand what you're saying yes to every time you lean in. 1. What a lick actually is, biologically. Here's what most owners never think about. A lick is not just a gesture. It is a transfer. The moment your dog's tongue makes contact with your skin, you are receiving everything that tongue has collected since the last time it was clean, which, for a dog, is never. A dog's mouth contains hundreds of bacterial species, many of them completely benign, some of them entirely foreign to the human microbiome. This is not a reason to panic, but it is a reason to understand what is actually happening when you accept that lick on instinct the way you've always done it. Because it feels like affection, and it is affection. The biology doesn't cancel the love, but the love doesn't cancel the biology either. And most owners have been living with a habit they never examined because no one handed them the full picture clearly enough to make a real choice. 2. The bacteria your dog carries that you don't. Think about the last hour of your dog's life before they licked your face. The walk where they sniffed something on the pavement. The grass they grazed with their nose. Their own paws, which have crossed every surface of your neighborhood. The other dog they greeted mouth first at the park. And then, minutes later, your cheek, your lips, the corner of your mouth. Dogs carry a range of bacteria that humans simply do not share, including strains of Pasteurella, Staphylococcus, and in some cases, Capnocytophaga, a bacterial species present in the mouths of the majority of healthy dogs that rarely causes problems in healthy humans, but can cause serious illness. In vulnerable ones, a study out of the Centers for Disease Control in 2019 documented multiple cases of severe infection in humans traced directly to contact with dog saliva. The cases were rare, but they were real, and in every single one of them, the exposure felt exactly like what happens in your living room every evening. A dog, a person, a moment of ordinary affection, no one thinking twice. 3. Why healthy adults are usually fine and who isn't. Here is the part most vets lead with, and it matters. If you are a healthy adult with a functioning immune system, the actual risk from your dog licking your face is low. Your body is equipped to handle a significant amount of bacterial exposure, and the vast majority of people who share their lives and their faces with their dogs never experience any consequence at all. But here's the thing. The risk is not evenly distributed. And it is almost certainly not evenly distributed across everyone in your home. Children under 5, whose immune systems are still developing. Adults over 65, whose immune response has naturally slowed. Anyone undergoing chemotherapy, managing an autoimmune condition, taking immunosuppressant medication, or living with diabetes. For these people, the ones you probably love and who share your home and your dog, the same lick that costs you nothing can land very differently. Most owners have never had this conversation because nothing bad has ever happened. But nothing bad has happened yet, and nothing bad can happen are not the same sentence. And if that makes you think differently about who in your home is most affected, stay with me until point 6, because there's one place your dog licks you that vets consider significantly more concerning than the face, and most owners offer it without thinking twice. 4. what your dog is actually trying to say when they lick you. Before we go any further, because this matters, your dog is not doing something wrong when they lick you. They are not being unhygienic. They are not being reckless. They are communicating in one of the oldest languages available to them. Licking in dogs originates in two deeply embedded instincts. The first is maternal. Mother dogs lick their puppies constantly for warmth, for stimulation, for bonding. The second is submissive appeasement. In pack behavior, lower-ranking dogs lick the faces of higher-ranking ones as a gesture of trust, affiliation, and deference. When your dog licks your face, they are reaching back into something ancient. They are saying, "You are safe to me," and "I am yours." Understanding that doesn't mean accepting every lick without question. It means when you do redirect the behavior, you understand what you're redirecting, and you can honor the instinct underneath it even while you change the expression of it. 5. The mouth is not the only entry point. You've probably been thinking about this in terms of face licking specifically, the mouth, the eyes, the obvious points of entry. But here is where the picture gets more complete. Intact, healthy skin is an effective barrier. A lick on your forearm, your hand, your leg, when the skin is unbroken, carries minimal risk for a healthy adult. The concern shifts the moment that barrier is compromised. A healing cut, a patch of eczema or psoriasis, a bug bite you've been scratching, a cracked knuckle in winter. Any break in the skin, however small, however ordinary, creates an opening that changes the equation entirely. Capnocytophaga, the bacterial strain found in most healthy dogs, is responsible for the majority of documented dog saliva infections in humans, and in almost every case, the entry point was not the face. It was a wound so minor the person had stopped thinking of it as a wound at all. You don't need to become anxious about every lick. You need to become specific about where you have open skin and thoughtful about what you let near it. If this is the kind of clear, grounded information you want more of, the real biology behind the dog behaviors you live with every day, subscribe. This channel is here for exactly that kind of conversation. 6. The place vets are more concerned about than the face. Here is the payoff from point 3. Ask a veterinarian or an infectious disease specialist where they consider dog saliva exposure most likely to become a real problem, and most of them will not say the face. They will say the hands. Think about what your hands do. They prepare your food. They touch your mouth dozens of times a day without you noticing. They wipe your eyes. They touch your children's faces. And your dog licks your hands constantly. When you come home, when you're sitting still, when you reach down to pet them, and it registers as so ordinary that you've probably stopped noticing it at all. The face lick feels like the exposure because it feels like the most intimate contact. But your hands are the bridge between your dog's mouth and almost everything else that enters your body. One habit change addresses most of the real risk in this conversation. Wash your hands after your dog licks them, before you eat, before you touch your face, before you touch anyone vulnerable. That is not an overreaction. That is the actual, specific, practical thing that matters most. 7. How to redirect without rejecting. Here is the part that matters most to get right. Because the goal is not to push your dog away. It is not to make them feel that their reaching out has been refused. The goal is to receive what they are offering. The trust, the affiliation, the ancient instinct toward closeness, without accepting the specific physical form it takes in that moment. When your dog moves toward your face, redirect to your hand or your chin rather than pulling away entirely. Let them make contact on a lower risk surface. Offer them an alternative behavior immediately. A scratch behind the ears, a moment of deliberate eye contact, a word that tells them the connection they were reaching for is still there. Over time, with consistency, most dogs will redirect naturally. They were never trying to lick your face specifically. They were trying to reach you. And there are ways to let them reach you that honor everything they were trying to say without either of you losing anything in the exchange. Better way to say it. That has always been true. It will always be true. Understanding the biology behind that gesture and choosing how to receive it wisely is not a rejection of their love. It is the most caring response available to you for them and for everyone else in your home who shares the life you've built together.